Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome back for another season of Raw. I'm your host, Frankie J, and what a great season we had last year. I would love to thank each and every one of you, anyone that was a guest, anybody that's been watching, supporting, and following Frankie J Raw. What an honor. And to end the season last year, we had the one and only Judge Dan Winslow, who was fantastic, and I was lucky enough to get. But today, to move forward, I couldn't think of a better person in the world to bang off season 2 than my brother from another mother, my friend for a long time. We met and instantly clicked. And we've had so much good times together. He is a certified life and relationship coach and an A-list podcaster. His name is Tyrone Dixon. Tyrone, welcome to the show. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, and it's great to have you here.
Brother, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me, man. And congratulations on all the success of Frankie J. Raw, man. It's an honor and pleasure, to be honest with you, bro, to see your growth and your evolution as a man and to see you now on stage doing your own fireside podcast. And then I know you do all the additional podcast work. So shout out to you, brother. I'm really proud of you. I just have to get that out because I know our conversations always get a little silly later. So I want to
Yeah.
get the seriousness out of there.
Well,
Congratulations, brother.
I thank you for that. And just so everybody knows, everybody outside the studio audience, whoever's watching, I appreciate it. Tyrone, really, you were really the inspiration that got me started with podcasting, if you recall. And you got me going. I'm going on 5 years now, and the time just absolutely flew by. But for
It's
you,
fun times, huh? Fun stuff.
fun stuff, but the work that goes into it is unbelievable. And a lot of people don't realize that.
Absolutely.
So that's why I wanted to celebrate your success today and what you've accomplished since the fun days of us working in the middle of a mall, laughing for 8 hours and calling that productive. It was amazing. So, and we had some good
Still,
times.
I still talk about that. Probably was an entry level role, but that was the funnest time I ever had at a job.
Oh, it was terrific.
Selling files in the middle of the mall.
Yep. And right in front of the lingerie store. What better place for Frankie J to be, right?
See, listen, man. Hey. I'm married now, man. We can't be bringing
Yeah.
up those
No, no. Well,
stories.
I am too. I have a wife. She's out there somewhere. But in any event, Tyrone, thanks again for being here. It's wonderful to see you. You look good. I've been seeing
Thank
your
you, brother.
workout videos. You look ripped and tanked and ready to go. And it's a shame that you didn't go through with football. You could have probably helped us out on Sunday. Our defense just, I don't know if there was a missing linebacker or some sort of payoff. I'm not sure. I'm not as upset as I thought I would be just because
Yeah, no, that's that. I mean, Cincinnati's a good team, man.
they
Like
are.
they're
Yeah.
really good. They're a really good team. They surprised me when they scored that first touchdown. I'm like, oh, okay,
Oh,
well,
they walked right down the field.
yeah. I
Like
was
it
just
was,
like, oh, any real football fan knows, like, oh, that didn't look good at all. And then
well,
when
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 it's,
Buffalo went three and out, it was like, oh shit, here we go.
we are done. When it was 14
Yeah,
nothing, I was like, game over. You can't, I mean, it's the
yeah,
playoffs. You can't come back
yeah.
from that. And our defense was just, I don't know where they were. I think they're still on their way to the stadium.
Well,
But
man, if I'm being frank, there you got a lot of good injured players, right? There, you talk about in football, it's the next man up, but when you missing a Von Miller, I think it's is it Hyde or Poyer? One of the safeties was out there a whole year too with the neck injury, right?
Micah Hyde, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
like that. Those type of injuries, man, they're devastating when it comes to the playoffs because everybody's on point in the playoffs.
Yeah, and it's a new season. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's just another game." Well, yeah, not really. It's either your
Hmm.
last game or you move on, and it's cutthroat.
Yeah.
So for me, was I surprised? No. Was I sad? A little bit. But it just seemed like after Josh hurt his elbow, it just seemed like he wasn't right. He never got
Hmm.
himself back. I had an elbow injury and had to have surgery on it. I couldn't hold a cup of coffee. All
Yeah,
right.
no, that like the elbow, especially you think about his position, right? The quarterback,
Right.
how pivotal that is to your throwing motion, to everything that you do. So yeah, I agree that that's a tough injury to recover from.
Yeah, he lost a lot of spike on the ball. Like he had no zip. He really didn't. He had no zip at all. He lost his what do you call it? His thing where he could, frozen rope a 50-yard pass
Hmm.
past people, and he lost that. And he should have relied on his legs a little bit more on Sunday. But the story goes the Bengals were a better team, and the storyline was a little, as Hamlin had his heart attack there in Cincinnati, That was a moment. I can't imagine how it felt on the field. Okay, I wasn't there.
Hmm.
However, going back to my EMT days, I had a CPR on a few people, and it didn't end well. So I can understand the mental view of seeing that live. It's hard. It's shocking,
Yeah,
and
cardiac arrest is no joke, man. It's no
it's
joke at
not.
all. And
It's not
I actually used to teach CPR as an instructor, and I'll just throw this jewel out there just for the audience, and they're aware. But every for every minute that someone is in cardiac arrest and they don't get help, like a defibrillator or the chest
CPR.
compressions,
Hmm.
with CPR, right? That for every minute a person does not get that, they lose that much more time on their life. So if you go 10 minutes without receiving either defibrillation or oxygen, chances are you won't recover from that. So
Correct.
kudos
Yeah.
to those individuals that were able to act fast.
Correct. He's a lucky kid.
Mm,
It was tragic, and I've gotten mixed reviews on how I felt about the ending of that game, and I might be cold hearted. I don't think I am. I think they should have maybe held off for an hour, suspended the game, and got back in and finished the game. I think right then and there when they called that game, canceled it. I think that just threw the whole team for a loop, both teams, because our
yeah.
season was filled with craziness. I mean, we had to play a snow game in Detroit. We had snowstorms. It was just a whole season filled with this is the way it goes for Buffalo, and you know what I'm speaking of. All the different
Yeah,
things.
yeah. It was a lot of adversity that the team faced this year. Honestly, I
Yeah,
would have been extremely surprised if they would have made it to the Super Bowl, given how much they had experienced, man. It was tough,
correct.
but you gotta give it up for them, man. They're on the right path. I think they
They are.
maybe need a couple of more weapons on defense, get another weapon
Sure.
on offense, a running game, and I feel like they're fine. They're right in that mix with them, Kansas City, Cincinnati. Throw a little Chargers in there. Those would be the teams competing for the next 5, 10 years for sure.
Correct. I think the AFC is tougher than the NFC right now.
It's stacked,
Um,
man. It's
it is
stacked.
stacked. It is stacked. And, as far as injuries are concerned, you can't control if they're going to happen. We all know that.
Mm,
But it gets crazy when, as a Bills fan, I noticed the difference when he hurt that elbow. I could see right then it was going to be tough. He should have
hmm.
taken a game off, 2 games possibly, but he didn't. In any event, the Bills are on the right path. They do need some defensive help. The draft is here, some free agency. We'll see what happens. That's 6 months of what can and can't happen. We'll see. Everyone's out to fire the coach and the defensive coordinator and the offensive coordinator. It's like, well, why? Why would you do
No,
all that?
I disagree with that, man. I
I
disagree
disagree
with
with it
that.
too.
It's
I
disrespectful to McDermott too for the work he put in because you and I know this, right? We have a lot of new Buffalo Bills fan, but you and I know how long it took to get back to the point where they were even making, you know what I mean? Like where they were
oh
even making the playoffs. Dude, you remember that game we went to when Rex Ryan was the coach of the
oh
Jets
my
that time?
god,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
I thought
And
they
it
were going
was
to win the
just
Super Bowl.
yeah, man. So it's tough. It's tough being a Bills fan. But at the end of the day, if you are a true Bills fan, you know how far they've come along to get to this point. So you definitely can't
Absolutely.
give up hope now. If you were there through those dark times, man, you might as well just ride the wave.
Well, yeah, for me, I started as a fan in '86, had
Mm,
seasons from '87 to '93. So
hmm.
I went through all that hurt and pain. So that conditioned me for the 30 years later. I can handle the hurt. It doesn't make it any better, but I understand it. It's any given Sunday. It's a movie. It's for a reason. Any given Sunday,
Hmm.
someone can win or lose. Our 3 losses this year were against Miami, Jacksonville, and the Jets.
All
The
solid
Jets.
teams during the time too.
Yeah. So I just don't think it was our year. I just don't. I had funny feelings when we lost to those teams. I'm like, yeesh, we can crush these other teams, but these teams that shouldn't be good, that aren't good, are
Yeah,
spanking us. But it is what it is. I do wish the
yeah,
Bengals the best. I would like to see them go and win one because Kansas City's got one. There's a lot of hype on Kansas City. I think
yeah.
Cincinnati, they were stand up the night that Hamlin got hurt. I can't discredit them for any way they behaved that night as far as canceling the game. The
Hmm.
respect, it was handled all so perfectly. So, with the season being at an end now, it's time to look forward to the championship games next week and see what happens. My prediction is Cincinnati and San Francisco. I just
Cincinnati and San Fran, huh?
yeah, and there's talks that Jimmy Garoppolo might be ready for that game, and in
No
my true opinion,
way. No way you could
leave it
play Jimmy.
alone.
No way. No way you could put Jimmy Garoppolo in how Purdy's rolling right now.
No,
That
you
would
got to go with
I could guarantee you're gonna piss a lot of the players off if you make that move.
that and fans because
Hmm.
everyone's bought into the Purdy project, and he look, you know what, watching him play, he looks so calm
Yeah,
and
yeah. I
so
like his demeanor. I really do. I'm impressed by his demeanor. You gotta remember he's a what, seventh round pick?
seventh round
So
pick.
you know what I mean? The amount of pressure that goes into being a seventh round pick and now on the national stage, man, the way he keeps it together, I like him. I like his demeanor a lot.
Yeah, there was an interview with George Kittle, the tight end, and they asked him, "Has there been any moment during those 6 games that he won where you had to kind of bring him down a little bit because he was getting a little overconfident?" And there was one play that happened where he actually went for negative yards himself, and he was yelling at somebody else, blaming it on them.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, he's still young, and he had a moment. But I do see this, and this is me. Tom Brady was what, the second last pick in the draft, or the very last pick in the draft that he was picked up.
Somewhere in there, yep.
I just think the draft is a big sham. You never know what you're getting. There's people coming from college to a pro game. It's a different thing. You know that. It,
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And the other thing is politics is involved in everything too, right? So
sure
you
is.
never know. A lot of people tend to be surprised about the late round picks that end up blossoming. I
Yep.
look at those type of situations as the individuals that were victims of the politic game, right? Maybe a coach or someone in the past liked another player but above them, and it
Yeah.
caused them to slip and then slip in ratings, so on and so forth. But then when they get to the national stage, to the NFL, where it's really about showing up and putting in the work, you'll see them be more successful, man. So I
Well,
love seeing that.
I love too. I love the underdogs. Obviously I'm a Bills fan, but I mean, I remember celebrating when we beat New England, and it was a regular season game, and our season was over. I'm in the middle of the mall with bunny ears hooked up to our TV, selling FiOS because we didn't have FiOS, and I had a crowd around me of like 30 people, and
Yeah,
we all cheered and
yeah,
high five. It was ridiculous,
yeah, yeah.
but
You were the man back in the mall, man. That was
I
like
was not
you
the
were the
man.
go to the Sunday J Man. That oh yeah, don't let me forget to slide that in there either. I call him J Man audience, and he knows why I call him J Man. He was the man in that mall. People
I
would come,
tried.
literally Canadians would come up just to visit this guy, man. Come to Buffalo to visit this guy Jeff Franklin, man. He was that
Yeah,
he is still, but he was that big of a deal in the mall. Don't let him
I
fool you.
I tried, and then the market came to its knees, if you recall that one moment.
Ah,
But
man.
we had
That
some
was
good
such a
times
good
there.
time, man. We rode a wave when Files first came, man.
Yeah.
That was a lot of good money, man.
Well, I just remember certain channels being canceled that were a big deal, and I had lines around the mall, and I was breaking records,
Hmm.
and it's hard because when you're doing that, and I had the responsibility of going to the arena for the games too, and doing it down there in an environment that really had nothing for me, but I managed to find people to sell to. But now for you, that's where we met, and it was like the first time we met. I think it was you. You came to the mall. You had worked at another location, and you came to the mall, and you and I remember it like yesterday. We just clicked right away, and we
Hmm.
started
Hmm.
laughing, and
Yeah, I think
you were
that's what I was gonna say. Our sense of humor, man. Like it's, I have for people that for people that truly know me. I know I'm extremely professional in most situations and on most occasions, but you really know me as an individual. I'm
yes.
really like I have a different type of sense of humor, and I think that was the thing that we connected on most because
Sure.
sometimes it can be cynical, right? Sometimes it can be
Oh,
cynical, and I think we would see things in the mall and we would just look at each other and be like, what the hell is going on? And just
oh.
laughter, man, laughter.
Well, it was
I
that
loved
one
it.
time
Again, the best times, man.
when I saw that really tall guy coming, and I told you and Dan, I said, "Look, there's this really tall guy coming." You guys were like, "What the hell's
Yeah,
wrong with you?" And as soon as you saw him, you both fell on the floor laughing.
yeah. No, he was gigantic, man.
He,
He had to be like seven something.
yeah, he had the duck to go into Macy's.
Yeah, like he had to be 7 feet plus, man. Or what about the time? I still laugh at this. I can't remember the gentleman's name that we hired, but remember when Dan like gave him some information. Dan is our old supervisor to fill everyone in the audience in. But Dan gave him some information, and he was like in the middle of the mall. He's like, "Oh my God, Dan blew me! Dan blew me! He blew me!" And he was trying to say that he blew his mind, but he had the language barrier. So he just kept
Oh
saying,
yeah.
Dan blew me. Dan blew me. In the middle of the mall, and people were walking by like, what? And then Dan's like, no, 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 no. Oh, man.
I just
I
remember
can't
Dan.
remember his name, man. That was so funny, though, man. So funny.
Oh, I mean, there was a moment where I remember a guy came up, and I don't make fun of people, but sometimes things happen. He walked up and he looked a little different. It was like one of those awkward, different things. And you and Dan bolted, and I was stuck to take care of this customer and keep a straight face. And I hear you guys giggling in the hallway, in
Yeah,
the
that
maintenance
was,
hallway.
man.
And
We should try to set you up like that a lot, though. But now
oh,
that we're a little older and a little more mature, we definitely we set you up a few more than a
oh
few times with people like that, where we kind of seen them coming in. We're like, all right, disperse, get
bolt,
the hell out of there.
yeah, leave Frankie to take care of it. It was a
Let
fun
Jeff
time.
handle that.
It was a fun time. I got my free pretzel bites every day. I was able to work that mall, and everybody in the mall knew me because that's just the way I am.
Yeah,
I'm very
yeah. J
forthcoming,
Man,
and
that's where you get the J Man name from, man. Everybody
yep,
knew you. Everybody used to get free food like randomly. I don't know how
yep,
the hell that used to happen, but
yeah.
yeah,
People would just bring me stuff, free
you
gifts,
were well versed in the mall, man. Yeah.
and then when I'd go to the retail locations, they all wanted me to leave. Get them out of here. We don't want them here. We don't want them here. But let's put the focus back to you a little bit because I still remember
Yes,
I had to
sir.
I taught you the Windsor knot, which was a very exciting
Yes.
moment,
Listen,
and
and still the only knot I know how to tie my own by myself, the Windsor knot.
it
But
was
I've learned over time the Windsor knot is considered a very sophisticated knot.
it is.
So you don't even need to learn how to tie another knot.
Just a Windsor it, and it was
My
such a
man.
proud moment for me because I was able to teach something that I had just learned, and you took it, and years later, you're still humbled by learning the most simplest of things, tying a Windsor knot, and most people would look at that and be like, "What's the big deal?" What is a big deal? It's something that embedded in your memory, something that we did that was fun and laughing and all that kind of good stuff. So I
Hmm.
take the little things in stride,
Yeah,
little
and not
wins,
even
little
just
wins.
that. If I could throw something out there, I don't think I've
Sure,
ever shared this with you, Jay man. To be frank, but that was honestly the first time someone in a work environment had taken time to show me something, and it wasn't work related, right? Like, and I think that for me that strengthened our bond, and that
yeah,
made me feel like, yeah, this guy is truly like a brother. Like, we could say it all the time, but a brother from
yeah,
another mother, because he
right.
really took it. And it, like, I not let's be real, I didn't get it the first time, right? It took a couple of times of doing that, but I know I always say I appreciate you that for that. But let me say it in front of your audience, man. That was a big moment and a pivotal moment in my work life, because it let me see that it wasn't always about work, right? Like, there, we could
Right.
put the human element into it, and we could put some love and appreciation into it. So, brother,
Well,
man, I thank you for that. And
humbled. Thank you.
that was one of the best lessons I learned in a work environment, for sure.
Wow. Well, I appreciate that. I'm humbled.
No
I'm
doubt.
glad I was able to be part of that, and you taught me a lot of things too. You were an inspiration to me a lot of times. There was times where I wanted to give up, and you were like, no, 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 just relax. It's all good. And we bounced off each other, and it went to show that working with other people doesn't have to be horrific.
Hmm. Hmm.
And there were people that just didn't like working with me, and I know why. I come off a little harsh, but it's not meant that way. But it takes people a minute to get used to me. You, on the other hand, like Dan, you both got me right away, and that's why
Yeah.
our friendships were so strong and are still so strong. So,
Hmm.
and that's why I was so excited about opening my second season with you being my guest, because you have quite a story. After after our work they're all kind of faded away and we went our separate
Hmm.
ways. You went back home to where you are
Hmm.
now, and you started podcasting, you got certified in life coaching. What inspired you to want to become a life and specifically a relationship coach? That's where I'm more um, interested to hear, like, what put you into the relationship coach portion of your career? What was it that made you
Absolutely.
do that?
So when we had separated our time from Verizon Files working in the mall, I don't know if you remember, but that storm of 2014 or 20, like heading into
Yeah,
2015, the storm that was very similar to the one that just passed.
yeah,
That was, I don't, and again, I don't know if I've ever shared this with you, but that was my reasoning for leaving Buffalo. After that happened, I was like, I'm done. Like, I've never seen that amount of snow in my entire life. I hadn't been able to get back home for 2 weeks. So I was literally like sleeping on my buddies' couches for 2 weeks. And
ugh,
like, I would try to go home. National Guard was posted up where it wasn't letting me because I stayed near Orchard Park. So as you
right,
know, that
hmm,
was outside of the city. So I couldn't, everything that was inside of the city was good to go. But everything outside of the city you couldn't get to because the National Guards were waiting pretty much at the city limits.
right,
So after that, I was done, man. I was like, I'm done. I'm out. I've never seen this amount of snow in Syracuse. Moved home to Syracuse, and I started working at this facility. It was a residential facility, and like my idea going into this residential facility, Jay, man, was like I was gonna work with these bad kids. I was gonna help them get their life situated, get their lives on track, and live a better life. And I kid you not, the first we'll just say the first round of kids that I was fortunate enough to work with, literally every one of them got in trouble again. Right. So they would come into the environment in which we created
right.
for them, and they would get the tools and learn the tools that they needed. But then when they got home, a lot of the tools weren't being reinforced by their parents. So again, like
Mm,
I said, 100% of the kids, my initial youth that I worked with, would get in trouble again. So I started to realize it's the equivalent of taking an animal out of the wild, right? And then
right.
placing that animal in the zoo. And please, I mean, no disrespect to human
No, I
beings. I'm just
understand.
trying to draw a picture.
Yeah,
Um, Taking that animal out of the wild, putting them into a zoo, getting them structure, getting them routine, allowing them to know when a meal is going to happen, letting them be safe, right? But then taking that same exact child, in this case, and putting them back into the environment that they were in before. And we expected them
yeah,
to now develop a skill set or to now be the people that reinforce the skill set. And for me, I
correct.
think that was just, it was wrong, and I started to feel morally wrong about working with the youth. So
Yeah,
as I started to go home, I realized that I needed to do more. I needed to do more. I had to do more. I had to create more opportunities for the youth that we were supporting to be successful. And I started looking into life coaching, randomly looking into life coaching, and I felt like it was something there. So I dove into it, and I told myself if I could dedicate 2 years to studying life coaching, developing life coaching plans, and developing strategies, then I would actually go forth and get certified. 2 years
okay,
went by.
the
I was consistent. Yep.
yeah, so you got your certification there.
Hmm.
Now, when did it kind of leap into the relationship side of things where you started your I call you an A-list podcaster because that's what you are.
Oh,
Um
come on, man.
the Quality of Love podcast. You are so on point, organized, professional, and your material is incredible. I've listened to quite a few of your episodes.
Thank you, brother. I
What
appreciate that.
Oh, thank you for putting them out there because there's a lot of people that really should listen to your podcast. They're educational. And to Ray, thanks for joining. Ray's one of our regular and top creators here on Fireside. Um, in the ticker, there is Tyrone's website and his handle. So if anyone wants to get in touch with him as far as his podcast is concerned, let's talk a little bit briefly about your podcast, the Quality of Love podcast.
Hmm.
What was the inspiration for that specifically? What drove you to doing a podcast about that topic?
Right.
And
So just getting bridging the gap with the life and relationship coach piece of
mhm,
things. All of my initial clients, well, I won't say all, majority of my initial clients for life coaching had something to do or an issue with relationships or the quality of relationships in which they had in their lives. So I'm like, okay, I'm seeing a connection and correlation between the quality of one's life and the quality of the relationships that they have in their life. So I'm like, okay, let me see what a relationship coaching is, right? I feel like if I could master relationship coaching, then I would already be able to handle the life coaching element or aspect of it. Because if you
ah,
have quality relationships in your life, then you'll have a higher quality of life.
there you
So
go.
I kind of figured that would be the thing. Got into relationship coaching, but I felt like I had so much information to share, J man, that just seeing clients wasn't enough, right? Or just being in group environments wasn't enough. So I decided to create the Quality of Love podcast to do exactly what we talk about, right? To try to draw a parallel for the audience between them seeing the quality of their life, so how rich their life is, and the quality of relationships in their life, right? And if you have those two things aligned together, I can guarantee you have a fulfilled life.
Where were you 7 years ago when I got married? It would have been perfect.
Yes, yeah, I get that. That's probably my number one question that I get. Like, where the hell were you? Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I'm still
well, it's
working, man. I'm
well,
still working.
you're a patient man, and I remember that specifically about you. You had a patience to you that was just above and beyond most people, and I always, I'm not gonna lie, I don't want to say jealous. I was envious of it. I always was like,
Hmm.
how can he be so patient and I cannot be? But I think a lot of that comes from backgrounds, history, growing up, things along those lines.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely. I would get whoopings if I wasn't patient. So it's like
yeah,
you better develop some patience, right? You better
I'd get
develop some
whoopings
patience.
because I looked at somebody the wrong way, but it made me into a better person, and I'm able to kind of like you go through life and not let a lot of the different kind of noise, get to me where
Hmm.
somebody else would be like, "Oh my God, that's trauma, and I should be put in an
Hmm.
institution." It's like that's trauma. You haven't seen anything, like I do that a lot too, like where I've been
Hmm.
through some traumatic situations, and when somebody says, "Oh, I saw this car run over a bike with nobody on it," that was traumatic to me. It's like, what do you mean? Like nobody got hurt. Like how's that trauma? But
I will say trauma is specific to the individual. So like
correct.
there's varying degrees of trauma. So I'll just say that, but I do get exactly what you're saying. Like
Yeah.
nowadays, the trauma, traumatic experiences is becoming like a buzz term. So people
Hmm.
are using it when probably necessarily didn't need to be used.
Right. And I even bring that up on some of my shows is that all of a sudden all the big words are trauma, gaslighting, and narcissism. It's like, yeah,
Narcissists.
if I hear someone say you're a narcissist one more time, I'm gonna be
Yeah.
like, you really want to see what a narcissist is? I can show you.
I
Um,
love I love getting into that discussion, J man, really quickly because like you know what my show consists of. It's
yes.
I answer questions about your relationship, but then I also answer questions about individuals who may be displaying narcissistic behavior in relationships. And I can't tell you how many emails I go through on a weekly basis, and they're like, "Yeah, this person is a narcissist just because they wouldn't let me get a cookie, or this person is a
Oh,
narcissist because they wouldn't share their wine with me." And I'm like, "What the hell? Like
oh my God.
that is
Maybe they didn't want to
that is
share.
not." Yeah, yeah. So it's just funny that you say that, and I was just going through emails earlier, and I'm like, man, like I get way more emails of examples of non narcissism than narcissism.
No, I believe it. It's funny because this past summer, I'm sitting by my front window, and I was on a Zoom call actually, and I hear this hollering and screaming outside, and I peeked out the window, and the ex couple next door, were doing a child exchange, and the woman was going bananas on this guy. Yeah, I mean, just yelling and screaming and going bananas, and she finally started taking swings at him, and so I
Oh,
mean, people
damn!
called the police, and I'll never
Wow.
forget it. I'm sitting and I'm listening still, and I hear her screaming, "He is such a narcissist!" Ah, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "He is. Listen to you."
I was gonna say, but she punching him. He's the
Yeah.
narcissist, but she's physically assaulting him. Wow,
Yes, and she admitted
wow,
it too. She's like,
wow.
the cop was like, and they had their cameras on, their cameras,
Body cam. Yep.
and the one officer says, we also got reports that you took swings at him. She goes, "Well, I did, but he dodged them, so I didn't actually hit him." And then one cop's like,
Stop it!
You
Stop
just
it! No
admitted
way!
on body camera that you tried to assault him. We can
No
arrest you for
way!
that." Yeah. I was like, wow, and you're calling that guy a narcissist?
I'm telling you, man.
So
I feel you completely on that,
that
man.
that word is
It's
special.
unfortunate.
It
Yeah,
is.
like that. It's just a buzzword now, right? It's like people
Hmm.
hear it a lot, so they just tie it to something that it has nothing to do with.
Yeah, no one knows the true definition of narcissist to go kind of to the serious side of it. When you grow up and you grow up rough, like you and I both had, some challenging upbringings as we discussed working together. We know the true meaning of these words. Now we're into this new era of people taking those words and making them their own. making
Hmm.
their own decisions on what those
Hmm.
words mean for them. It's like a horoscope, right? Oh
Yep,
yeah, that's
yep.
definitely me. Oh yeah, I've been gaslit. Man, I've been gaslit since I was born, and I didn't even know what it was. I
Yeah,
look
that
back now, yeah.
gaslighting is a new one for me, man. Like the gaslighting is, I'm like, okay. And then there's like a love bomb term I heard about that too, where it's like, man,
Oh,
there's a lot of terminology coming out in a couple of
oh,
years,
there.
man. We gotta get on it, man.
Yeah, I got to catch up on terminology, and I read and I research all the time. I've been out of work now since 2020, as you know. With back surgery, elbow surgery
Hmm.
twice, and two car accidents within 6 months, and I had a bad year. So for me, I'm out of work permanently now, permanently disabled. So this is my life now, doing podcast or doing live broadcasts here on Fireside, and for me, researching more, reading more, and learning more, you're like, wow, it opens up this whole new world. For me, I
Hmm.
was glued into what I did when we worked together. I thought that was it. This is all I'm going to be able to do the
Hmm.
rest of my life.
Hmm.
And when I finally took that leap, and I was uncomfortable, it wasn't comfortable, but when I finally took
Hmm.
that leap and left and moved on, I realized there was a whole bit much more world out there. And that's what you did. And that's what inspired me most. And I'm so proud of you of what you've done.
Thank you, brother.
It's so incredible what you have created over there in Syracuse, and the podcasting and the community outreach and the response that you're getting. It's just it's unbelievably incredible. If I get a chance to take a ride out to Syracuse, we're definitely going to hook up and
You
get
know
some
that, man. Come
get some
on, man.
bacon. Remember my mom's bacon.
Of course.
Um,
Were you kidding me? Do I
oh,
remember your mom's bacon? Is the best bacon I ever had in my
oh,
life.
she'd make
You
us
kidding
three
me?
pounds of
Are
bacon,
you
and
crazy? You
the
nuts?
thick cut.
I
Oh,
still think
so good.
about I still think about it to this day, man. I
It
still
was
think
so
about it to
good.
this day. I loved
We
it, man. I remember that day I just ate the whole bag for it. That was my dinner, man.
It was so good. It was cooked
Yeah, no,
perfectly.
that was it. And then you reintroduced me to Rice Krispie treats, which I haven't found a box of those in Syracuse since I moved back.
Yeah, there's a trick to making those. We'll have to do a show on that. Hi, Jimmy. Welcome to the show. It was just great times. I miss them. Those are the kind of times I miss. Do I miss the
Yeah.
grudge, the grind, and the constant text messages, and you got to get a sale, and come on, run
Oh
loose. Do
yeah,
I
the
miss any of
sales
that?
push.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, I
Dude,
can't.
I've
I don't.
totally forgot about the sales push and all of that, man.
Oh, it was just. I mean, it was just one of those cutthroat, like used car sales environments that
Yeah.
I can't believe I even survived it. But it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about speaking, being
Hmm.
fluent, and knowing that each and every customer is different. And I was able to work each customer as who they were, and talked with them how they talked. It wasn't robotic. So, and that's where you and me worked really good hand in hand together. I would see that you were trying to close a deal, and I would throw things out there, get on the computer and pretend, and hey,
Hmm.
just so you know, the installation dates are filling up, you might want to get one in. I tried
Yeah.
whatever I could do to help my coworkers. It wasn't like I was trying to steal sales. I was trying to help.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were the only one that understood that, and took it that way. And I was always I always was looking at the schedule going, I hope he's with me every day. And then they started bouncing you to other locations.
Yeah,
But
I'm going to the different locations. Yeah, that really was like my yeah, I think that's it for me. Like when
yeah,
we started to bounce to the different locations, and then we had to compete with the individuals that were doing phone sales at a point in time, which was those are two completely different arenas. So I didn't understand why we were. Then they started putting me in areas where files wasn't able to be sold or would never have the possibility of
right.
being sold. So I'm like,
And
yeah,
why aren't you getting your quota?
no, yeah.
What do you mean?
So yeah,
Nobody can get it.
that was it for me. But you know what, man? I'm happy we're having this conversation, Jay, man, and I appreciate you bringing me on because you all of those experiences prepared me for where I am now. Like you said,
Oh,
right? Like
thank you.
that high sales, that being in the environment where in which I know that I'm super stressed out, but I have an employee or a coworker that I can lean on and I can be supportive with. It really helped me to eventually learn to regulate my emotions better. And ultimately, it introduced me to emotional intelligence because after a while, I started to realize, like, okay, I need to figure out how I'm able to regulate my emotions in every situation, not
Oh,
just this situation in which I'm stressed out. So Actually, after my time with Verizon, that was my introduction to emotional intelligence, and I
Oh,
mention emotional intelligence everywhere I go. I think everyone should study emotional intelligence in
I
some way,
agree.
shape, or form, because it really prepares you for like the ever-changing dynamics that are present in our world. Man, something's gonna change at some point in time, and I think for me, emotional intelligence really helps me to regulate and prioritize what's important, what do I need to do now, what can kind of hold off on. So, man, I'm just very appreciative of my experience at Verizon, even the bad times, because it
Yeah.
taught me that I need to gain another level of emotional regulation, to be frank with you.
Well, that's really good to hear, and for me, that makes me feel like wow, that time wasn't as bad as I thought it was because it really wasn't. I made really great friends
No,
out
no,
of it.
I don't
You,
think so, man. I think in the moment, and then again, talking about emotional regulation, in the moment, we're like, F this job, F
yeah,
this, we're in the middle of the mall. There's an effing bear over here singing Christmas tunes literally at the from the beginning of December to January. Every single day, it's a bear in the mall singing the same thing all day.
yep,
So I think it just all of us were in this spot to where we were just kind of trying to get it, man. You know what I mean? Trying to grow, trying to develop, trying to pay bills.
yep,
And when you're in those highly emotional spots, you're not able to take a step back and realize how much of a blessing it is really to be
yeah.
around people that actually care, to be around people that actually want to see you succeed.
Yeah, and I wanted people to succeed with me because ultimately, if we all succeed, we're all happy. And that was always my goal. I was never trying to hurt anybody or make anybody look bad. It wasn't like that. I just want everybody to put in the same effort. I don't think that was
Yeah, I'll
the
admit you do come across as abrasive if you don't know you. Well, not
right.
back then, not now. You've obviously grown a bit, but
Yeah,
you were borderline. We'll say borderline abrasive
I
if
was.
people didn't have their stuff together. But I respected that because you had a standard for others that you had for yourself, right? You were gonna bust your butt every day in the work, and that was your expectation for others as well.
Well, yeah, and when it comes to me, coming off abrasive, I've owned that over the years, and I always say to people, if at first they don't understand me, I'm like, just have a few conversations with me, and let's just
Yeah,
talk, because I think people first impressions are definitely important, but first impressions aren't everything. You have to
absolutely.
take that minute to talk to people, and I was fortunate and lucky enough to have met you, and we didn't have that issue, nor did it took me a while to understand Dan, but once I got to him, I was like, oh my God, this guy's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I had to reverse it and do the same thing. And I've learned throughout the years that you have to communicate. Communication is a big deal. And
Ooh-wee.
yeah, and if you don't communicate, you're not going to get anywhere. Communication is key. But so real quick, Tyrone, because we're pretty much out of time here.
Mm-hmm.
You if anybody wants to like check into your services as far as life coaching and relationship coaching, they can go right to your website, which
Yep.
is
Awesome.
tkeylp@buzzsprout.com, and they can leave a
Yep.
message on there. And
Yep.
your handle is at CEO_ATC. That's your handle. I got Tyrone right next to it, so I can space
Yep.
that out.
That handle will be for Twitter as well as Instagram.
Okay.
Tyrone TL Dixon would typically be how you get to me through any other social media handle. Also, I've gotten a lot better over the years at emailing. So I'm gonna give you my email address too. So in case your audience wants to reach out or connect
Yep.
with me via
I am
email.
going to type that in right now. What is your email?
All right. So it's my initials TD
Okay.
at arose. That's
Oh
AR
wait, hang on. Why is this not typing? Oh, I gotta put the cursor in. TO at
TD.
oh
My
T. I'm
initials
sorry.
TD.
Duh.
Yep, it's all
Yeah,
good.
that's what I meant. TD at
Arose ARO
okay. I see.
ZE.
ZE.
Yep, ZE, not SE.
Got it.
Through THROUGH.com.
Okay. Got it. So I got TD at a rose with a Z through.com.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so there it is. It's up there. If anybody has any questions, there's this website, his handle. Monica, welcome to the show. Monica is a great friend of the show. She's been very inspirational and motivational to me as well. And Tyrone, it's been a pleasure, man. I love everything about what you got going on, the Quality of Love podcast, your coaching, your life
Thank you,
coaching,
brother. I appreciate
and
it.
you got a beautiful family. Your daughters are absolutely gorgeous. I want to squeeze
My
their cheeks
babies.
every time I see those
My
pictures,
babies,
man.
man. I can't believe, can
You
you believe
are,
I'm a dad, man? All that
I
crap
can.
I used to talk about not being a parent and not getting married ever in my life.
Well,
I'm
those
a
are the people
freaking
that make the
dad
best
now,
parents.
man.
And
That's
you're a good
crazy.
one. Your kids are beautiful and they're being raised right and
Thank
I'm
you,
proud of you
brother.
for that. And they're absolutely cute. I always want to squeeze their cheeks through the
Thank you,
Facebook
brother.
post but I'm
Before we
very
go, I
proud of
gotta
you.
say one thing
Yeah,
though.
yeah, go ahead.
Can I say it?
You
I
can
got
say it.
time? Got a
You
slot?
got
All
time.
right. So two things actually. One, please understand and assess the relationships that you have in your life. I tell my clients all the time to do a relationship inventory every 3 to 6 months. A relationship inventory is literally you just jotting down a list of people that you contact on a regular basis and making an honest assessment of if you are bringing value to them and if they're bringing value to you in your relationship. If not, then it might be a good idea to kind of get some distance between you and that person and bring someone that pours more energy into you. And then lastly, I would not be able to leave without saying my 5 elements to a lasting relationship. If you really want a lasting relationship, I'm telling you, this is tried and true. You need these 5 elements: trust, communication, as in dialogue, so back and forth, not you dominating the conversation with your partner; knowing your partner's love as well as their apology languages, so knowing how to love on them but then also knowing how to say sorry in the right way; the ability to shift with the dynamics that are going to be present in life. You're going to have a kid, you're going to get married, there's going to be so many changes that come about. Having the ability to shift with those changes usually leads to a lasting relationship. And then last but certainly not least, unconditional acceptance, right? Accepting
Yeah.
your partner for who they are, but understanding that they're working to be the best person that they can be. Thank
That's
you,
great
brother.
advice.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you
Tyrone,
so much for
man,
this.
you know what? Everybody out there, I want to thank my guest, Tyrone, the podcaster with the Quality of Love podcast, and he's a certified life and relationship coach. Tyrone, thanks for being here today. Thanks to everybody in the audience. Thanks to everyone outside of the audience listening on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere that we are broadcast. Tyrone, it's been a pleasure, and
Always a
I
pleasure, brother. Much
can't
love,
wait to
man.
have you back again. And everybody, I will be on tomorrow night with my other friend Todd going over the conference finals of the NFL. It'll be at 6 p.m. Eastern Time right here live on Fireside. It should be a good one. It's some good games lined up this weekend. So, again, thanks to everybody. Tyrone, I'll see you soon. And everybody else, thanks for being here. Have a great day.